Hey guys, Stamina here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over how to default on the T side of Inferno like the pros. So when it comes to defaulting on the T side of Inferno, there's one thing that you have to know right away, and it's that this map doesn't play out in defaults like every other map. See, on Nuke, we have outside smokes to take secret. We have outside smokes to wrap outside. You know, we have lobby defaults. We have ramp takes. But Inferno is just two primary choke points. We want to take banana, and we want to control bracket. Okay, this area of the map right here. Now there are extensions of both of these defaults, right? We might want to take this area after we've taken arch, and I'll get into how you could do that. Typically we see like a smoke like this, and we look to kind of like take this kind of control and play with the rotates. Sometimes you might see an extension of the bracket control toward porch with players looking for picks toward here. And same thing goes with B. If you have full B control, you might often see an extension of this default where we maybe smoke front sight and look for some kills. But Inferno is very different. So let me dive into how you default on this map, and hopefully after watching this video, Inferno will feel a little bit easier for you on the T side. But before we get too far into the video, let's have a quick word from our sponsor. Today's sponsor is Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is an automated Counter-Strike 2 trading site that provides an instant way to get new skins. One of my favorite things about Skins Monkey is that I can take skins that I no longer want and trade up for a better skin at equal value. If you use code STAMINA, you can get up to a $5 bonus on your first trade. You can also use Skins Monkey to purchase skins, and if you top up your balance, you can get a 35% bonus. So head over to Skins Monkey today to make your first trader's purchase. Now back to the video. So the first part of the default that I'm going to explain is how to take banana control, and there are going to be two primary ways of doing so. Now you need to understand the goal of the banana control. Yes, it is your goal to take control of banana, but more importantly, if the CTs use a lot of utility and don't gain banana, that is a win for the Ts always. Without any kills, you are in the advantage. And I will explain why. So there are two main ways of denying information and taking banana control. The first way that you're going to see often, and in my opinion is the easiest for inexperienced players, is smoking the half wall like so, and then mollying in front of the half wall like this. Now I'll explain to you the concept here and why this is really good. Often CTs are going to look to take banana control right away. That might involve a deep smoke right away, a molly off the wall, and then they molly deep. Okay? Now if you see this coming, or maybe they've done it in previous rounds, and you smoke half wall right away, you deny their vision from car. Now in the process, if you see their nades come down and a smoke comes down after you smoke, right, so you get smoked off here, you hear a molly land here. If you molly in front of your half wall smoke like this, there is nowhere that the CTs can go in banana. And more importantly, your Molotov will outlast their Molotov. So when theirs fades, you can call for one window flash and you can come into B, and now you have B control. Okay, it's a very simple method. From here, we would want to do an extension of this. We just take full car control. We want to Molotov the corner. Often it's really common to have you and your other B defaulter double nade sandbag, and just like this, we have control. You could even do it the opposite way. You could double nade the corner, molly the sandbag, maybe get a half wall flash, and then come through. Right, very basic. The second way that you're going to do this is something that Nico and Flit have been doing for probably like a year and a half, 2 years now, maybe at this point, and they've both basically mastered, and I don't think any other two players are as good at this on Inferno as these two. So basically what they do is they have one player that's a dedicated support player. So in Virtus Pro, that will be Fame, and in G2, I genuinely don't remember who it was, but I think it was Hooksy. Basically what this dedicated support player does is they run up and they literally toss you their molly and their HE. I'm dead serious. You're just throwing it on that wall, and you're coming back here and you're holding flashes. Now the concept here is you're gonna just permanently hold window flashes, and typically you'll have two. The guy going into banana should drop you his flash. Now the guy going into banana has a very simple task. He's gonna Molotov behind the car like this. Now the concept here is this Molotov is going to deny any information, and the only place that can be peeked is this corner, and obviously it's a very strong peek for you with the right eye peek, and many operators don't really go for this pick that often. Maybe they do at lower elos, but even if they do, what you could always do is like a rifler is you could molly, get off the angle, and just like give it some jiggles and just kind of hard peek it, whatever. Now what's going to happen here is CTs are often going to do like their banana control staggered. Most higher level players are doing it like this. They have the first guy molly close, and then he's holding for anybody rushing. They have another guy holding a flash like this, and if they're rushing, he's throwing this flash, he's mulling off the wall, and they're like stuffing your banana rush, right? But if you're not rushing, this guy's holding his flash, and when it doesn't come in, he just turns to the left, and this guy smokes deep, and he mollies B, okay? So their mollies are kind of like, this one's like fading as this one's coming in. That's how they're taking banana control, right? So when you Molotov car that first time, and you pick up that second Molotov, when their deep smoke comes in and their deep molly comes in, you're re-mollying car, but this time you want to molly it more shallow like this, and you're still denying their ability to run down banana. Because your first Molotov, like we know, made it so that they couldn't be past this line. Okay? And your second Molotov comes in as their nades are coming in, but again, after their Molotov. Now, importantly, if they did somehow get past this molly, a really important tip for you to know is that they cannot be further than this barrel right here. So if they cannot be further, as long as your flashbang blinds them, which this one does, then you can still come through that smoke. And even if they've made it down, when you come through, you have an easy entry frag, okay? And their teammate is locked out of supporting them. That is the concept of the double car molly, and that is what these players are doing. Now, typically, the HEs were really important too. Nico was more popular for doing this, but Nico loved to throw a molly and then instantly HE the front of the half wall like this. Now, his concept, basically, it was just like anybody who's running down, if they're ever trying to like go fast past the wall, they're just getting hit with an HE grenade. And he was doing a lot of damage and slowing them down a lot. And because of this, obviously you are getting Molotoved or smoked off at bottom banana, right? So when you Molotov like this and then you HE, if you get smoked off and you hit them with that HE, your spam line is really easy. You could potentially get a free kill. That's the concept there. So this is how many players are denying banana control at the moment. And then again, once we actually have this initial pair to the map, we want to take the corner area. So usually this is done with like a Molotov and double HE sandbag. And while this is all happening, guys, your Opper is kind of sitting in this area, posting on your mid, and Jame is really good about this, but Jame is constantly in position to throw extra flashes if they need it. So that's really important to keep in mind as well. But your Opper is here. Now, once we have banana control, this is where we transition into our mid control. Okay, now, most teams do it like this, and again, it's because of that reason that I said at the beginning of the video. So what the two players alt mid are usually doing is they're looking to take halls control first. I'm going to show you a pretty foolproof way of doing this pretty consistently that is going to safeguard you from a lot of issues. So the first step is we're going to want to make sure we're Molotoving that window, but I'm going to teach you a tip right now. Most good teams don't molly this window for the entire game. They actually only throw it the first few rounds just to like make sure that the CTs are remembering like, yo, we're going to get mollied here. And then they stop. And then after they stop, they're just saving that extra molly because they know that the CTs probably don't look to push into halls when that molly's up. So throw that Molotov and have your first player come through the door like this and come up toward long hall. Now, if this player does this, they are not exposed to any of the op peaks that can go into alt mid, okay? And you don't have to worry about this at all, right? So this is really great. Now, the second player, while his teammate's going long haul, is just going to chill down here, and there's an internal timer. If you hear the CT's molly down mid, the entire time that molly's up, the Opper could be peeking you. So I'm just chilling, doing nothing. The molly's about to fade. Now I can peek out. I can clear this garbage can area, and I can look to jump into halls if I would like to. Alternatively, if you want to come up faster, you can flash off the wall and face. But this flash and this peek has really gone on a meta in recent times because people realize what's the point of even giving the op a chance. In tier 1 level, I've literally watched Monacy come up here, get flashed off, turn, flick back, and get a kill. It's just such a sketchy progression, and it's just not that important, right? So now once you have a teammate toward long haul and you have a teammate toward here, we can go ahead and look to jump into bedroom. Now, you're going to see a lot of different things. A lot of teams are really good about spamming like this, and they're just trying to spam like this long haul line and kill anybody if they're playing pushed up. This guy long haul is looking to progress up at his own pace and kind of get close, and once he's ready, a lot of long haul players are throwing a flash like this, and then they're peeking in. The reason that they're throwing a flash like this is because this flash will land in this corner here, and they can peek with it, and the Opper can't like look away from it if they're on the line, okay? Now, historically, it was really common for people to throw a flash like this, but this flash went out of the meta because if I was an Opper here, I could just tuck and then kind of like re-peek, if you see what I'm saying. I could like time it up and not even get blind. So this flash into the corner is way better. Now, if you don't want to flash, you can also double peek. You could have your teammate come from boiler side, peek here. You guys can clear these close angles, and then 3, 2, 1, peek deep. Right now, after halls is clear, we're seeing basically every single team have that guy jump back out, and he's going to be the guy that takes bracket control. Now, there's all sorts of different ways you can smoke arch. Seriously, there's like so many different ways, but this is the way that my team likes to do it. We throw it like this, and you can go for this little peek into mid like this. And when that's clear, you can just come on over to the left side of mid and look to continue your arch take. So if you line up this like rim of this brick with this orange wall and you aim right here and run throw, this will Molotov porch. It's a really nice Molotov. It'll get this hopper off this angle, as you can see would be burning. And it gets all under porch really easily, just like in CS2 or in CSGO. Now, really importantly, this guy who is defaulting in halls with you, when you jump out, you want this guy to come boiler a lot. And this is because right now in CS2, you cannot safely throw a Molotov for porch without somebody being able to like peek you right here. So if your teammate's in here, he makes sure that you're not getting peeked and you feel a lot more safe. Okay, now what we're also seeing in Counter-Strike 2 that teams are doing, and Virtus Pro, I saw them doing this a lot in their recent game, is when Norbert will go to throw his bracket control utility, he will throw this smoke, and oftentimes Jamin will be close mid with him, and before he throws his Molotov, they'll double nade this little cubby right here, and just make sure that literally nobody's there. So they double nade, molly porch, and then lastly, a little flash off the wall, blind anybody here, and we have mid control. It looks like I just missed that molly a little bit. So it looks more like this, and now we have bracket control. Now, typically, you're going to look to do an extension off of this as well, just like we talked about with B. And the extensions of this default would be either throwing the shock smoke and trying to wrap arch, or it would be looking to kind of like peek into deep lane and look for a pick around this area. This is a lot less common, but it is actually very, very strong. As many teams will eventually like use a Molotov on lane if they feel that pressure. Now for the shocks control, what many teams will do is they will look to get a guy into this cubby. Being in this cubby is really important because if anybody re-aggresses lane, you can see their shadow on the wall. And if this player has a smoke, he can actually smoke shocks from this corner by aiming right here on the metal, basically where this little like rust stain comes to the point, and jump throwing. What's great about having somebody here to throw this is you could have another teammate back here mauling the arch cubby. And then after doing so, you could actually just flash anybody off those angles, back arch, by aiming right here, left and right click and jump throwing. And now your teammate can take shocks control. We call it shocks control, but he can take deeper arch control and look to kind of look for these kills in here. What we're doing when we're taking this control is we're forcing this Moto player to basically choose, am I going to go pick up spawn or am I going to go pick up site? And if he picks up site, that typically means that one of the B players rotates over to pick up spawn. So what we can see often is teams will take bracket control and then they'll do some sort of shocks extension like so. And after the shocks extension, they just instantly group 4 people back to B and they look to like explode on the B bomb site because they know there's only one person there. Alternatively, if they feel like the opera is going to go towards spawn, then they'll do the exact opposite. They'll actually wrap the bomb site by throwing a smoke like this for in arch and a smoke like this for library. And they'll just end up actually wrapping the A bomb site because they know that that opera went out towards spawn and now there's only 2 people on A to defend it. That's the concept of this shock smoke and what it's used for in this default. So banana control into bracket control with a shocks extension and a car extension is basically how you're going to default the primary default on Inferno, which it is kind of like alone. It's like the default. Right? Inferno doesn't have like a million different defaults. But with that being said, I'm going to show you a couple cool different ways that you can do a couple of these ideas faster to accomplish the same thing, but at a quicker pace and more efficiently. The next default I'm going to show is a shocks control, but it's actually going to be the first thing we're going to do. If you feel like teams are focused on taking banana control, what you can do is one of your B players who supports can just leave an extra molly here, but then instantly just dive into Mexi Pit and just be ready to support toward A. Now this guy's going to do the exact same task. He's trying to deny banana, right? So he mollies. Maybe in this situation, he actually smokes that deep molly. He re-mollies again. He HEs, right? He's just trying to keep them out of banana. He's just trying to occupy them, right? Obviously, you wouldn't use your utility that quickly. While this is happening, we're going to have 2 guys go alt mid, and one is actually going to silent boost the other into boiler like so. If you have a rifler stand down here, another guy get up on this ledge, he can just literally walk off his head, make 0 noise, and get into boiler, okay? Now, this guy on the left, even if he's smoked off mid, we can still do this strat. He just wants to get to this part right here, find this little black dot, and you're going to stare at your radar in the upper left corner. And once you see you're past like the boiler wall, you can still throw this Molotov every single time, even if you're mollied or smoked off, and it's really easy to line up. As this is happening, you're going to throw that Molotov. That Molotov's flying. This flash is flying. And this guy who Molotovs is typically going to Molotov, call for the flash, pop, pop, we're through mid, and now we're just running down arch with this shock smoke up right away. So it allows us to take this extended control earlier into the round and at a pace that the CTs can't always account for. Now, just like at A, we can speed up at B, and I'm going to show you guys one of the strongest ways that you guys can just force your way into banana control. If we want to speed up and take banana, it's really hard for the CTs to actually know that we're doing this. And there's a really easy way you can do it. You're going to have one player come up like this, and he's going to molly and just come into logs like so. Now, they're going to molly close. And then typically they're going to smoke deep and molly deep. And that's your timing. After their close molly has landed, you're going to wait just a few seconds. You're going to have a teammate to your right as well. And what you are going to do is you are going to force the car control with another Molotov and 2 HEs. So what's going to happen is this guy will peek out. He'll Molotov, double, he'll HE. This player will smoke the close molly, HE, and now you're getting a half wall flash at the exact same time, and you're forcing your way into car at a much earlier pace. Now, typically, you're going to have your opper who typically sits back here, look to throw this half wall flash, and he's going to hold this flash. So the timing of this is really important. It's going to have to be something that you practice and you get really comfortable with. What's going to happen is we throw that first Molotov, and then the second molly comes in for the corner, and this guy's smoking the close molly, nading. This guy is Molotoving the corner, nading. And then that flash is coming at the same time as the smoke being putting out the molly. And now we have car control faster. It's a very, very simple take, and it's something that will help you take banana control. Probably, 100% of the time if you choose it in a round where they're not triple B. I think it's one of the strongest ways that you can quickly take banana, and a lot of pro teams are using this at the moment, and you should be too. Now, the next question you're going to ask me is stamina, stamina, stamina. What do we do after we have all this space? Inferno is a map of re-aggression on the CT side. If the CTs sit back on the B bomb site and get no information, they're largely screwed. If the A players sit back, moto, site, pit, they're largely screwed. It's very hard to play the map like this. So the CTs often have to look to do re-aggressions. That could be with a coffin flash. That could be with like your opper walking porch, maybe a flash into mid, maybe they break the smoke, whatever the case might be. So you want to find settle positions. And this is something that you should look to do on every single map. On Inferno, there are really, really good settle positions, and I'll explain them. So one of the best ways that you can settle is after you've taken bracket control. If you get one rifler into the arch cubby like this, and he's looking at the lane re-aggression, anybody that walks up lane, their shadow will show on the wall before they peek. So historically, it's been really common for oppers to re-aggress this angle. It is horrible now. That rifler in that cubby sees them so quickly. Now, on top of that player being there, what you want to see is you're typically going to have your Hall's defaulter stay in and around boiler. Now, he's going to kind of swivel and make sure nobody's pushing long haul, but when they re-aggress lane, if they do re-aggress lane, he's playing purely to trade. So he's just ready to like wind up and swing. When that contact's made, boom, he's taking them out. Now, lastly, your opera is going to settle and kind of look at arch. Traditionally, we actually had our opera look at lane, but because of the shadow advantage, it's really good to have the rifler look there. And now your opera can hold like this. And what's great about this is when this smoke fades, if we wanted to take an advanced control, like I said, we can always look to settle, wait a little bit, maybe wait 15 to 20 seconds, maybe less. Then this guy can throw this smoke. Your opera can wind up that flash for you. Flash, pop, and now you've taken this control after you settled for a little bit and held for that re-aggression. Now, similarly at B, we can settle really easily, and I'm going to show you one of the most broken ways you can settle at B bomb site after you have control. It doesn't matter how anybody throws a coffin flash, this is going to work. Well, let's just throw the coffin flash like this, for example, okay? If you boost your teammate up on top of this wall like this little like cover thing here blocks every single coffin flash that comes back into banana. So if you're dying to coffin flashes, it's because you're not getting up here. And I'm not exaggerating. There isn't a way to throw a good coffin flash to blind this guy, but also get everything else. Because the strength of the coffin flash is that it would blind somebody on this wall who's looking like this. So if you throw it another way to blind this guy will no longer be blind. So no matter what, either this guy's not blind or this guy in the half wall is not blind, and the coffin flash has lost a lot of its strength. And that's really important to keep in mind. Now, if I was to show you one thing you could do to counter this on your own CT side, it's been really common for players to throw like flashes off the wall like this and kind of just like swing back in with them. Even back here is a little bit better. And the concept here is it's kind of like that porch flash on T side, where you flash here. While you flash it, you can kind of like peek with it. That's the same kind of concept. So instead of throwing coffin flashes, I'm seeing this flash a lot from CT side players. But nonetheless, when you get up banana control and you're done with banana control, boost a guy up here, let him hold like this. Have your teammate sit below and just sit anti-flash. And if any flashes come in, you guys are just destroying everybody that comes in. More importantly, when it's time to go and to hit the B bomb site, really cool play is if you keep your teammate here underneath him, this guy can drop onto his head, then he can crouch. Now the player on top can crouch and silent drop off of his head, and you never have to make any noise. You can set up to do your B hit. So these settle positions are really, really important. And when you take map control, you always need to find these positions as quickly as possible and look for these reaggressions. And when they don't come in, or they do come in, that's where your mid-round call comes from. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. This does wrap up the How to Default Like the Pros series for T-side, but I'm going to be continuing the series on the CT side starting next week, so be on the lookout for that video coming on Monday. So I appreciate all the support. You guys have a great rest of your day. Peace out.